The UES Horizon drifted at the edge of human space when they found it. A derelict alien ship, its hull scarred and life support failing. 3 survivors huddled inside, cast out by their own Galactic Federation and labeled genetic deviants. Captain Morrison faced an impossible choice: obey the galaxy's most powerful authority, or offer sanctuary to beings everyone else feared. What happened next would redefine humanity's place among the stars. Sensor arrays on the UES Horizon registered an energy distortion at the farthest reach of charted human space. The anomaly drifted silently, a faint blip against the cosmic background radiation. Captain Morrison studied the tactical display, his expression neutral. He ordered a cautious approach. Thrusters fired in short, controlled bursts. The ship moved closer through the dark. The unidentified vessel took shape on the main view screen. Its design defied all known spacecraft architecture. The hull appeared organic, grown rather than constructed. It resembled some deep-sea creature adapted to vacuum instead of ocean depths. Uneven surfaces twisted into strange curves. No sharp angles, no visible engine ports. Sensor sweeps detected complex biological readings where metal and circuitry should have been. Diagnostic reports began flashing on multiple consoles. The alien ship's hull showed massive structural damage. Long gashes cut deep into the living tissue of the vessel. These were not scratches from micrometeorites or wear from long travel. These were wounds, weapon impacts. Something had torn into the ship with brutal force. Debris drifted around it like dried blood in zero gravity. Life support readings dropped into critical levels. Atmosphere leakage, failing thermal regulation. The internal environment was collapsing toward vacuum conditions. Morrison called for a rescue team. Dr. Lisa Grant joined the group, medical kit already in hand. They prepped for standard first contact procedures. But the damage readings suggested this would be a medical emergency, not a diplomatic meeting. The boarding party cycled through the airlock into darkness. Their helmet lights cut through the black, revealing walls that pulsed with faint bioluminescence. The interior felt alive, warm, moist. Strange organic structures grew along passageways like coral formations. The floor gave slightly under their boots. There were no control panels, no displays, no conventional interfaces. Just biological systems running on some unknown principle. They found the survivors in what appeared to be a central chamber. 3 figures huddled together against a wall that pulsed with fading light. Their forms were humanoid but distinctly alien, with skin that shifted color in the low light. The air tasted thin in their helmets. Environment alerts confirmed they had minutes before life support failed completely. These were the Katmari. The Horizon's crew now faced the beings the entire galaxy had labeled dangerous. They looked up with large, dark eyes that showed no aggression, only exhaustion and fear. The rescue team's training had covered first contact scenarios, hostile encounters, medical emergencies. Nothing had prepared them for finding refugees that Galactic Authority had marked for destruction. Dr. Grant moved forward slowly, medical scanner extended. One of the aliens reached out a trembling hand. Their fingers were long, delicate. The scanner registered critically low vitals across all 3 life forms. Morrison watched from the Horizon's bridge through the helmet cameras. His command screen showed the countdown to total systems failure on the alien vessel. 2 hours, maybe less. The decision point was approaching faster than anyone had anticipated. The translation software struggled with the alien language patterns. Broken sentences filled the comms channel. The lead survivor identified himself as Veltar. His voice came through the speakers with a strange melodic quality, then fractured into digital static. He spoke of their homeworld's destruction. A stellar event had wiped out their entire civilization. They were the only 3 who escaped. His words painted a stark picture. The Galactic Federation had declared their survival a violation of natural order. Their biological adaptability apparently frightened the other member species. They could survive in environments that killed most life forms. Their bodies could interface with technology through touch. The Federation saw these traits not as advantages, but as dangerous deviations. They became genetic outcasts in their own political system. Enforcement vessels had pursued them for months. The damage to their ship came from Federation weapons fire. They had no home to return to. No allies would offer shelter. Every species in the Federation obeyed the exile order without question. They were running on borrowed time with failing systems and limited resources. Their options had narrowed to nothing. Veltar's plea came through clearly despite the translation glitches. They requested sanctuary or a quick death. Their life support systems were minutes from complete failure. They would either find refuge aboard the human vessel or suffocate in the freezing vacuum of space. There was no third option. No negotiation possible. The communication created a silent tension on the Horizon's bridge. Every officer watched Captain Morrison. His face showed no emotion as he processed the information. The implications spread through the command center like a cold draft. Helping these beings meant defying the most powerful political entity in known space. The Galactic Federation had military resources that dwarfed humanity's entire fleet. Their reach extended across hundreds of star systems. Refusing help meant watching 3 beings die when they had the capability to save them. Medical reports confirmed the Kathmari's deteriorating condition. Oxygen levels in their chamber had dropped to 12%. Carbon dioxide was building to toxic concentrations. Their body temperatures were falling rapidly. They would lose consciousness within minutes without intervention. Morrison's decision would set a precedent for human interaction with galactic powers. Compliance with Federation authority might secure humanity's standing in the political landscape. It might also prevent retribution against human colonies. But it would mean abandoning basic humanitarian principles. The captain's training emphasized rescue protocols above political considerations. His oath required him to preserve life when possible. The countdown timer on the main display showed 17 minutes until life support failure. Every second stretched longer than the last. Bridge officers waited silently for their captain's orders. The only sounds came from equipment hums and environmental systems. The weight of the decision pressed down on everyone present. Veltar spoke one final time through the failing connection. His voice came through clear for a moment before dissolving into digital noise. "We understand if you cannot help," he said. "The Federation's reach is long." Then the transmission cut out completely. Sensor readings showed the alien ship's power levels dropping toward 0. The cognitive load on Morrison intensified with each passing second. Morrison activated the quantum comms link to Earth Command. The connection established with minimal delay, a testament to the network's advanced technology. He transmitted the situation report along with sensor data from the alien vessel. The response came back encoded with diplomatic caution. Headquarters emphasized the political implications of providing aid. Their analysis focused on Federation reaction patterns and interstellar law. Earth's diplomatic corps had tracked Federation patrol movements for months. Their vessels had been probing the edges of human space with increasing frequency. The encounters followed a pattern of gradual escalation. First observational flybys, then closer approaches, now regular patrol routes along the border zones. Each incursion tested human response protocols. The Federation seemed to be mapping defensive capabilities while maintaining plausible deniability. Humanity's position in galactic politics remained unstable. New species typically underwent decades of observation before receiving full recognition. The Federation granted limited trade rights and controlled information exchange. Full membership required unanimous approval from existing members. Several powerful species within the Federation opposed human inclusion. They cited humanity's rapid technological advancement as potentially disruptive to established power structures. Morrison watched the medical monitor displaying the Kathmari's vital signs. Their heart rates had dropped to dangerous levels. Oxygen saturation readings showed critical depletion. Body temperatures continued falling toward hypothermic ranges. The bioreadouts painted a picture of systems shutting down from prolonged stress and environmental failure. These were not the dangerous deviants described in Federation bulletins. He reviewed the humanitarian protocols embedded in his command authorization. Every starship captain swore to preserve life when possible. The oath made no exceptions for political complications. It specified that rescue operations took precedence over diplomatic considerations when immediate danger existed. The regulations clearly stated that sentient beings in distress should receive aid regardless of origin or status. The Federation's description of genetic deviance conflicted with the reality before him. These beings showed no aggressive tendencies. Their communication focused on survival, not domination. Their technology appeared fundamentally biological rather than weaponized. The damage to their vessel demonstrated they were victims of attack, not perpetrators. The disparity between official Federation statements and observable evidence created cognitive dissonance. Morrison made his decision. He opened a channel to the rescue team. Prepare for immediate transfer of all 3 survivors. Full medical quarantine protocol. I want them in our sickbay within 30 minutes. Then he activated the translation software to address the Cathmari directly. You're welcome to stay. Humanity is not answering to the Federation. The rescue team moved with renewed urgency. They deployed emergency containment fields around the weakening aliens. Medical personnel prepared trauma beds and life support systems. Engineering teams configured the cargo bay for temporary isolation housing. The transfer process required careful coordination between teams. They had to move beings from a failing biological environment to a fully technological one without causing further shock. The operation became a race against time. The alien ship's integrity continued degrading. Hull stresses created worrying sounds through the connection points. Atmosphere leaks accelerated as structural weaknesses expanded. The Horizon's engineers monitored the docking clamps for signs of metal fatigue. They prepared emergency separation procedures in case the alien vessel suffered catastrophic failure. 2 hours remained until projected total systems collapse. The medical team estimated the Cathmari had less than 1 hour before irreversible organ damage occurred. Every movement needed precision timing. Morrison watched the operation from the bridge, his face calm but his hands clenched behind his back. The decision was made. Now they had to execute it perfectly. The transfer operation revealed capabilities that defied conventional understanding. As medical teams stabilized the Cathmari in the Horizon sickbay, their unique biological traits became apparent. Zixna, the smallest of the 3, placed her hands on a malfunctioning diagnostic console. The device had been displaying erratic readings since the previous week. Engineering teams had scheduled maintenance for the next rotation. Her fingers made contact with the smooth surface. The console screens flickered, then stabilized. Error messages cleared. Calibration indicators shifted from red to green. The repair completed in seconds without tools or technical interface. The technology responded to biological signals rather than electronic commands. Sensor readings showed energy patterns flowing from Zixna's hands into the machine. The console's internal components realigned at a molecular level. Circuit pathways reformed through what appeared to be guided biological resonance. Engineers watched with a mixture of fascination and professional disbelief. Their training emphasized precise mechanical intervention. This was something entirely different. Something alive interfacing with machines on a fundamental level. Beltard demonstrated their species' chromatophore control. His skin shifted through complex patterns of color and texture. The changes reflected his emotional state and environmental conditions. When medical scanners approached, his skin surface adapted to minimize sensor reflection. When he expressed gratitude, subtle gold patterns emerged across his forearms. The biological capability served both communication and camouflage functions. It was a survival adaptation refined through evolutionary pressure. Mordek showed healing capabilities that challenged medical science. A deep laceration on his arm from the ship's rupture began closing within hours. Tissue regeneration proceeded at an accelerated rate. Cellular reconstruction visible through microscopic imaging showed organized growth patterns unlike human wound healing. Inflammation markers remained low throughout the process. Pain response registered as minimal despite the severity of the injury. Human medical staff documented the process with intense focus. Such healing would normally require weeks of treatment and rehabilitation. Their biology supported survival in extreme environments that would terminate most life forms. Medical scans revealed organ structures capable of processing toxic compounds. Cellular membranes showed unusual resistance to radiation damage. Metabolic processes could shift between aerobic and anaerobic pathways based on available resources. These were not weapons or aggressive adaptations. They were sophisticated survival mechanisms honed through environmental challenges. The Federation had labeled these traits dangerous deviations. Their assessment focused on potential military applications rather than practical survival benefits. They saw biological interface as a hacking threat, rapid healing as potential biological warfare resistance, environmental adaptation as invasion capability. The perspective reflected fear of difference rather than understanding of function. Human scientists aboard the Horizon began comprehensive documentation. They established observation protocols that respected the Cathmari's dignity while gathering crucial data. Biological samples showed cellular structures unlike any recorded in xenobiological databases. Energy patterns from their interaction with technology created new fields of study. The research pointed toward revolutionary advancements in medicine, engineering, and environmental science. The Katmari's abilities represented millennia of evolutionary refinement. Their homeworld's harsh conditions had shaped their biology toward maximum survival efficiency. Each capability served practical purposes in their original ecosystem. The biological interface allowed repair of their living ships. Rapid healing addressed high injury risks in their environment. Environmental adaptation enabled colonization of diverse habitats. These were tools for preservation, not destruction. Scientific teams worked through multiple shifts to capture data. They recognized the historical significance of this first contact. The knowledge transfer went both directions. Human scientists explained their technology while learning about biological systems. The exchange created a foundation for mutual understanding. Documentation protocols expanded to include video recordings, sensor logs, and biological mapping. Every discovery challenged previous assumptions about the limits of biological adaptation. 6 months later, Mars Research Station Alpha became home to the 3 Katmari survivors. The red planet's thin atmosphere provided a secure environment for their continued study and integration. Dr. Amanda Brooks took charge of the research program. Her reputation as Earth's leading xenobiologist made her the logical choice. She established protocols that balanced scientific inquiry with ethical considerations. The station's personnel received extensive training on interspecies interaction. Federation surveillance ships began appearing near Martian orbit. They maintained distance just outside the security perimeter. Their presence registered on long-range scanners as faint energy signatures. The vessels followed predictable patterns. They would drift for hours, then jump to new positions without warning. Station security increased patrol frequencies. Defense systems remained at standby status. The watching ships made no hostile moves. They simply observed. Their silent presence created psychological pressure throughout the facility. The Katmari immediately began transforming agricultural operations. Their approach to plant growth defied conventional farming methods. They introduced biological accelerators that worked through soil microorganisms rather than chemical fertilizers. Crops responded with dramatic improvements in yield and resilience. Bella R tomatoes grew to 3 times their normal size without genetic modification. The fruits maintained perfect structural integrity and enhanced nutritional profiles. Root systems developed complex networks that shared nutrients and moisture across entire growing beds. Zixna established a biotech workshop in the station's engineering sector. She taught human technicians how to construct living machines. These devices combined biological components with mechanical elements. They could grow to meet increasing demands, repair damage automatically, and even reproduce when necessary. A simple environmental sensor might start as a small organic node, then develop additional functions based on need. The biomachines required no external power sources, drawing energy from ambient radiation and thermal differences. Station security trained with Mordek on combat adaptation techniques. He demonstrated how Katmari physiology responded to threat scenarios. Their bodies could temporarily enhance strength, reaction time, and sensory perception under stress. The training sessions revealed strategic advantages in defensive positioning and environmental utilization. Security teams learned to identify potential threats through subtle biological indicators. They incorporated Katmari movement patterns into their tactical responses. The collaboration improved station defense readiness without increasing weapon deployment. Human science underwent a fundamental shift toward living systems technology. Research priorities moved from mechanical solutions to biological integration. Engineering teams studied how structures could grow rather than be built. Medical researchers explored cellular regeneration techniques based on Katmari healing. Environmental systems incorporated biological filters that improved air and water quality. The station itself began evolving into a hybrid facility, where technology and biology worked in concert. The collaboration produced advancements that would normally require decades of research. Biomachines now monitored life support systems with greater efficiency than electronic sensors. Agricultural output increased sufficiently to make the station food independent. Medical bays incorporated healing chambers that accelerated patient recovery. Security systems could now identify personnel stress levels and potential health issues before symptoms appeared. Each development emerged from the integration of Katmari biological knowledge with human technological understanding. The Federation surveillance ships continued their silent observation. They tracked the station's transformations without interference. Their presence served as a constant reminder of the political stakes involved. Every technological breakthrough carried potential consequences beyond scientific achievement. The watching vessels represented a galactic power structure that had declared these advancements dangerous. Their continued presence indicated the Federation's growing concern about human-Cathmari collaboration. Ambassador Helen Ross appeared on the main view screen without formal greeting. Her expression remained neutral, a mask of diplomatic professionalism. She delivered the Federation's message with precise enunciation. Each word carried the weight of galactic authority. Her transmission came through secured channels with maximum encryption. The communication represented the Federation's first official contact since the Cathmari rescue operation. She detailed the mobilization of Federation warships near human colonial space. Tactical displays updated with new vessel positions. Battle groups formed around 3 key systems. Their formations suggested blockade patterns rather than invasion postures. The ships maintained distance from defense perimeters but displayed clear strategic positioning. Their numbers exceeded previous intelligence estimates by 30%. The show of force was deliberate and calculated for psychological impact. The Federation demanded immediate surrender of the 3 Cathmari refugees. The formal declaration labeled them genetic criminals and threats to galactic stability. The document cited ancient laws about controlled evolution and species purity. It described their abilities as unauthorized modifications rather than natural adaptations. The language framed humanity's protection of them as an act of aggression against Federation sovereignty. The ultimatum gave 48 hours for compliance. The political theater followed established Federation protocols for justifying military action. They had used similar rhetoric before invading independent systems. The pattern involved declaring a species dangerous, then presenting military intervention as necessary protection. Historical records showed this strategy effectively neutralizing opposition through fear. Other species typically complied rather than risking confrontation with Federation forces. Earth's leadership faced their most critical decision since achieving interstellar travel. Military advisors presented stark assessments of Federation capabilities. Their fleet strength overwhelmed human defenses by every measurable parameter. Diplomatic channels reported no support from other species. The Federation had isolated humanity through political pressure and economic threats. Conventional wisdom suggested compliance as the only rational choice. Dr. Brooks submitted her scientific assessment during the emergency session. Her report detailed the Cathmari's biological advancements with clinical precision. Their cellular regeneration techniques could eliminate degenerative diseases. Immunological adaptations offered protection against viral pandemics. Neural interface capabilities promised breakthroughs in treating brain injuries. Each advancement represented medical revolutions that humanity had pursued for centuries without success. The Federation's fear response became clear through intelligence analysis. Their political structure depended on maintaining strict biological hierarchies. Species with superior adaptations threatened their power distribution systems. The Cathmari represented evolutionary change that could not be controlled or contained. Their very existence challenged the Foundation's fundamental principles of ordered development. This was about preserving political control, not preventing actual danger. Earth's Council voted unanimously to refuse the ultimatum. The decision transmitted through secure quantum channels with full encryption. The response stated simply that humanity would not surrender beings under its protection. It cited interstellar law regarding refugee rights and humanitarian obligations. The message concluded with a commitment to defensive measures only. No aggressive actions would be taken unless Federation forces crossed into human space. The refusal triggered immediate changes in Federation fleet positions. Ships that had held stationary began moving toward human colonies. Their speeds increased from patrol velocity to attack formation pace. Weapon systems activated according to sensor readings. The countdown to potential conflict began with 36 hours remaining on the ultimatum. Human defense forces went to maximum alert status across all inhabited systems. The standoff created tension across every human settlement. Colonial governments implemented emergency protocols. Civilian transportation restricted to essential travel only. Military reserves received activation orders. Medical facilities prepared for mass casualty scenarios. The entire human population waited through the longest hours in their species' history. The decision had been made. Now they would face the consequences. Kepler Station reported the first case at 0432 station time. A maintenance technician collapsed during systems check. Medical scans showed rapid neural degradation. The disease attacked the central nervous system. It bypassed standard immune responses. Symptoms progressed within hours rather than days. Victims experienced excruciating nerve pain. Their motor functions deteriorated rapidly. Consciousness faded as neural pathways disintegrated. The plague spread through unknown transmission vectors. Air filtration systems detected no pathogens. Surface contamination scans showed no abnormal readings. Yet new cases appeared across different sectors. Containment protocols activated immediately. Quarantine fields sealed affected areas. Medical teams worked in full isolation suits. Their efforts proved insufficient against the unknown biological agent. Standard medical treatments had no effect. Antiviral medications showed zero response. Antibiotics provided no improvement. Pain management drugs barely registered on neurological monitors. The disease progressed through its cycle with mechanical precision. It seemed designed to bypass conventional medical science. Every intervention failed at the molecular level. Victims described the pain as fire along their nerves. Their bodies convulsed with uncontrolled neural feedback. Consciousness came in fragmented moments of agony. Medical monitors showed brain activity patterns unlike any recorded condition. Neural synapses fired erratically, then faded permanently. The damage appeared systematic and irreversible through normal means. Quarantine measures failed as the pathogen breached multiple containment layers. It appeared to travel through ventilation systems without airborne particles. Surface sterilization protocols proved completely ineffective. The disease spread to sectors that had zero physical contact with infected areas. Environmental controls registered no abnormalities. The transmission method defied all known biological principles. Zixna approached Dr. Brooks with a direct request. She volunteered for controlled exposure to the pathogen. Her reasoning was simple. Kathmari biology could analyze biological threats at the cellular level. Their immune systems adapted to unknown pathogens through rapid analysis. She stated clearly, "This is what we do. This is why the Creator gave us our gifts." The Kathmari entered the sealed biolab with human medical staff. They worked behind triple-layer containment fields. Zixna permitted controlled infection through blood sample injection. Her biological responses began immediately. Skin chromatophores shifted through complex patterns. Her body temperature fluctuated rapidly. Cellular changes registered on medical scanners within minutes. Their diagnostic process combined biological analysis with technological monitoring. Zixna's cells isolated the pathogen particles. Her immune response created counteragents through rapid cellular adaptation. The Kathmari identified artificial genetic markers in the disease structure. The pathogen contained engineered components not found in nature. Its design showed deliberate complexity, aimed at overwhelming standard defenses. They developed a cure within 48 hours. The treatment used tailored biological agents that matched the pathogen's specific structure. It worked by stabilizing neural membranes and eliminating the invasive particles. Human medical teams manufactured the cure using Kathmari biological templates. Distribution began immediately to affected patients. The first treated patients showed neurological stabilization within hours. Nerve pain decreased significantly. Cognitive functions returned to normal patterns. Neural degradation halted completely. Full recovery required additional days, but the crisis had been contained. The station's medical staff documented every phase of the treatment development. The Kathmari's abilities proved fundamentally medical rather than weaponized. Their biological interface capabilities allowed rapid analysis and response to health threats. The engineered plague would have devastated human populations without their intervention. The Federation's narrative of dangerous genetic deviants collapsed under evidence of their healing capabilities. Their gifts served preservation, not destruction. The Kepler cure demonstrated the profound capabilities of Kathmari immunology. Their biotechnology operated on principles that outpaced conventional medicine by orders of magnitude. Where human medical science required weeks to analyze new pathogens, their biological systems achieved comprehension within hours. Diagnostic processes that normally involved complex laboratory equipment happened through cellular interaction. Treatment development proceeded at speeds that defied established medical timelines. The entire response to the engineered plague showcased a different approach to biological threats. Federation surveillance intensified immediately following the medical breakthrough. Their ships decreased observation distance around human facilities. Sensor probes increased in both frequency and intensity. Communication intercepts showed heightened alert status among Federation vessels. The increased monitoring suggested concern about the rapid medical advancement. They tracked distribution of the cure across human colonies with particular interest. Their attention focused on how quickly the treatment reached affected populations. Dr. Brooks considered full integration of Kathmari science with human medical systems. Her proposal outlined systematic knowledge transfer between species. It involved establishing joint research facilities across major colonies. The plan included training programs for human medical personnel. Biological interface technology would become standard equipment in medical centers. The integration promised to revolutionize healthcare delivery and emergency response capabilities. It represented the most significant advancement in medical science in centuries. The successful cure became a powerful symbol that contradicted Federation accusations. It demonstrated that Kathmari abilities served healing rather than harm. The treatment had saved thousands of lives without any negative side effects. Patients recovered completely with enhanced immunological resistance. The results provided tangible evidence against the genetic deviant narrative. The cure's effectiveness spoke louder than political rhetoric or fear-based propaganda. Human colonies began recognizing the Kathmari's value for planetary health security. Colonial governments requested assessments of biological defense capabilities. They inquired about establishing permanent Kathmari medical units. The outbreak response had shown their importance for public health infrastructure. Colonies with limited medical resources particularly valued the potential benefits. The shift in perception moved from seeing them as refugees to essential contributors. The planetary defense implications became increasingly clear. Kathmari capabilities offered protection against biological warfare and pandemics. Their early warning systems could detect pathogens before symptoms appeared. Rapid response protocols could contain outbreaks within hours instead of weeks. The integration of their biological technology created a robust defense network. This planetary safety aspect changed strategic calculations across human settlements. Kathmari leaders articulated a consistent message of healing and cooperation. Veltar emphasized their desire to share knowledge rather than dominate others. Zixna demonstrated how their technology could benefit all species. Mordek explained their defensive capabilities were meant for protection, not aggression. Their communications focused on mutual advancement through biological understanding. The message resonated with many who had doubted Federation narratives. The successful medical intervention fostered broader recognition of their capabilities. Scientific communities published papers on the biological mechanisms involved. Medical associations called for expanded research collaboration. Security experts analyzed the defensive applications of their technology. The discussion shifted from whether to trust them to how best to utilize their knowledge. This represented a fundamental change in how they were perceived. The foundation was quietly laid for a system-wide shift in attitude. Colonial leaders began discussing formal integration policies. Medical institutions established exchange programs. Defense strategists incorporated biological defense into planning scenarios. The change occurred gradually through practical demonstrations rather than political statements. Each successful application of their knowledge built confidence in their intentions. The medical revolution extended beyond immediate crisis response. Kathmari biological systems showed potential for addressing chronic diseases. Their cellular regeneration techniques offered hope for degenerative conditions. Immunological adaptations could prevent future pandemics. Neural interface capabilities promised breakthroughs in treating neurological disorders. The scope of possible medical advancements expanded with each new discovery. Humanity faced a choice between fear-based isolation and knowledge-based collaboration. The evidence from the medical emergency clearly supported cooperation. The benefits of integrating Kathmari science outweighed perceived risks. Their capabilities had proven essential for planetary health and safety. The path forward involved embracing biological diversity as a strength rather than a threat. This shift in perspective would define humanity's future relationship with other species. Federation warships materialized along the border of human space in overwhelming numbers. Their sudden appearance registered on long-range sensors as multiple energy spikes. Vessels emerged from jump points in coordinated formations that suggested military preparation, rather than routine patrols. Battle groups arranged themselves in classic invasion patterns. Their positioning created strategic choke points around key human colonies. The display of force was both calculated and intimidating. The Federation command ship broadcast an updated ultimatum across all channels. The message repeated the demand for Kathmari surrender, but with significantly increased threat language. It specified immediate compliance within 12 hours rather than the previous 48. The communication included detailed coordinates for weapons targeting patterns. These coordinates aligned with civilian infrastructure points rather than military installations. The implied threat to non-combatant populations marked a dangerous escalation in Federation tactics. Earth's defense forces mobilized across all inhabited systems. Their numbers and capabilities remained substantially inferior to the Federation fleet. Ship classifications showed 3 Federation vessels for every human defender. Weapons technology assessments indicated superior firepower and shielding on the opposing side. Strategic simulations projected unfavorable outcomes in direct engagements. Commanders ordered defensive formations focused on protecting population centers. Their tactics emphasized containment rather than confrontation. Captain Morrison advocated for a strictly defensive posture during emergency briefings. His recommendations emphasized protection of humanitarian assets and civilian populations. He argued against provocative maneuvers that might trigger immediate conflict. The strategy involved creating layered defense perimeters around key systems. These perimeters would absorb initial attacks while allowing evacuation procedures. The approach accepted tactical disadvantages to preserve human lives and infrastructure. The standoff evolved into a strategic stalemate rather than immediate combat. Federation ships maintained their positions without advancing further into human space. Human defense forces held their defensive formations without offensive movements. Both sides monitored each other through continuous sensor sweeps. The tension created a strange equilibrium where neither faction made the first move. This unexpected pause allowed for unexpected developments within the Federation ranks. Encrypted communications began appearing on secured channels. These messages originated from within the Federation fleet itself. Younger officers questioned the morality of their orders through carefully coded language. They referenced the recent medical emergency and the Kathmari's life-saving actions. Some transmissions contained sensor data, showing human medical ships distributing the plague cure. The dissent suggested growing unease about attacking beings who had demonstrated compassion and healing capabilities. Several Federation captains made their disagreement visible through tactical decisions. Their ships subtly adjusted positions within formation patterns. These adjustments created defensive buffers between Federation forces and human colonies. The movements were technically within operational parameters but conveyed clear symbolic meaning. Command vessels that should have been leading attack formations instead positioned themselves as barriers. This silent protest represented the first open challenge to Federation authority. The coordinated positioning by dissenting captains created visible cracks in the previously united front. Federation command ships issued correction orders that were deliberately ignored. The fleet's cohesion began to fracture along moral and ethical lines. Ships that maintained aggressive postures found themselves isolated within the formation. Those advocating restraint formed impromptu alliances through tactical positioning. The shifting dynamics transformed the military confrontation into a moral test. This internal division provided humanity with unexpected strategic advantages. The Federation's overwhelming numerical superiority meant less when their forces lacked unified purpose. Human defense planners recalculated engagement scenarios based on the new variables. The possibility emerged that not all Federation ships would follow attack orders. This fundamental change in the conflict's nature created opportunities for diplomatic solutions. The standoff continued, but with fundamentally altered dynamics. Captain Zarath's warship broke formation with sudden, decisive motion. His vessel pivoted away from the Federation battle group, thrusters firing in a sharp, controlled burst. The movement registered on tactical displays across both fleets. It was not an attack maneuver or an evasion tactic. It was a statement. The ship positioned itself directly between the Federation armada and the nearest human colony. Its shields activated at full strength, creating a visible energy barrier. He broadcast his declaration across all open channels. The transmission used maximum amplification, overriding standard communication protocols. His voice carried the crisp authority of a seasoned commander. "We stand with the humans in Kathmari against tyranny," he announced. The words echoed through bridge speakers on hundreds of ships. The statement contained no qualifications or conditions. It was a complete rejection of Federation orders and ideology. The communication included his command codes and identification markers, eliminating any doubt about its origin. Other vessels followed his lead within minutes. Their movements were not perfectly coordinated, but showed clear intentionality. They formed an irregular defensive line between the opposing forces. The growing barrier consisted of diverse ship classes and configurations. Some were advanced warships with powerful shielding. Others were support vessels with limited combat capabilities. Their common purpose unified them despite their differences. The protective barrier expanded rapidly as more captains made their choice. The Wanderer clans made contact through secure diplomatic channels. They offered economic support and intelligence networks that spanned multiple sectors. Their communication detailed resource allocations and supply routes. They provided real-time data on Federation fleet movements and logistics. The assistance included merchant vessels willing to run blockades if necessary. Their contribution strengthened the defensive position without direct military involvement. The economic support ensured human colonies could withstand prolonged conflict. The Whisper Collective transmitted technical schematics for energy-based warfare disruption. Their technology targeted Federation weapon systems and shielding mechanics. The systems used resonant frequencies to interfere with energy containment fields. They could disable offensive capabilities without destroying vessels or harming crews. The technology aligned with the emerging emphasis on restraint rather than annihilation. Implementation required minimal modifications to existing human defense systems. The tactical advantage shifted significantly with this addition. Forgotten Mechanists provided advanced computational intelligence capabilities. Their systems could analyze Federation command patterns and predict strategic moves. The technology processed vast amounts of data in real time, identifying vulnerabilities and opportunities. It enhanced defensive coordination across the irregular fleet formation. The computational support allowed for rapid response to changing battlefield conditions. The intelligence advantage compensated for numerical inferiority. It transformed disjointed defensive efforts into coordinated resistance. A multi-species coalition formed around shared principles of restraint and strategic capture. The alliance focused on disabling, rather than destroying enemy vessels. Tactical priorities shifted to shield penetration and engine disruption. Boarding procedures emphasized non-lethal containment of Federation crews. Medical support extended to injured personnel on both sides of the conflict. The approach reflected a fundamental rejection of Federation methods. It demonstrated that victory could be achieved without mass destruction. The conflict reframed from a fleet battle to a campaign for galactic values. The physical confrontation became secondary to the ideological struggle. Each captured vessel represented a potential convert to the new alliance. Prisoner treatment protocols emphasized compassion and reason over punishment. Communications focused on explaining the Kathmari's true nature and capabilities. The strategy aimed at undermining Federation authority through demonstrated superiority of principles. The shift in approach created opportunities for peaceful resolution that pure military confrontation could never achieve. Earth hosted the secret meeting in a subterranean facility deep beneath the Martian surface. The location provided both security and symbolic significance. Representatives from 12 oppressed species arrived through concealed transportation networks. Each delegation brought evidence of Federation domination policies affecting their people. The meeting chamber featured neutral environmental settings that accommodated diverse biological needs. Atmospheric composition, gravity, and lighting adjusted automatically for each species' comfort. Security protocols ensured complete isolation from Federation monitoring systems. Each representative detailed their species' suffering under Federation rule. The Vorax had their agricultural worlds stripped of resources through forced extraction treaties. The Sylph endured cultural suppression that banned their language and traditions. The Gellan faced mandatory biological modifications to conform to Federation standards. The testimonies revealed a consistent pattern of control through economic pressure, military threat, and cultural eradication. The Federation maintained power by preventing solidarity among subordinate species. Their strategy relied on keeping potential allies isolated and fearful. Intelligence sharing became the meeting's primary focus. The Sylph provided detailed maps of Federation supply routes and logistics networks. The Gellan contributed technical schematics of Federation weapon systems and their vulnerabilities. The Vorax offered strategic assessments of military deployment patterns. The combined intelligence painted a comprehensive picture of Federation weaknesses. It revealed internal dissent among mid-level commanders and logistical overextension across multiple sectors. The information showed the Federation's apparent strength concealed numerous structural vulnerabilities. The groups made formal pledges to support the common cause. Ship contributions included patrol vessels, transport craft, and modified civilian ships with military capabilities. Trade routes covered supply lines for materials, fuel, and provisions. Technical expertise ranged from engineers to medical specialists to intelligence analysts. The commitments created a foundation for sustained resistance operations. The combined resources significantly enhanced the defensive capabilities protecting human space. The Alliance now had assets beyond pure military strength. Medical knowledge sharing became the Alliance's cornerstone. The Katmari biological expertise integrated with other species' medical traditions. This created comprehensive healthcare protocols that could address diverse physiological needs. The system prioritized rapid response to biological threats and epidemic containment. Medical ships would operate across Alliance space, providing care regardless of species origin. This approach demonstrated the Alliance's commitment to preservation rather than destruction. It stood in direct contrast to Federation policies that valued control over welfare. Captain Zarath joined the Council via secure transmission from his command ship. His report detailed Federation fleet morale collapsing at an accelerating rate. Crew discontent had spread through every vessel class and assignment. Many captains privately expressed willingness to defect given proper assurances and clear alternatives. The Federation's justification for attacking human space had unraveled completely after the medical response to the Kepler plague. Their narrative about dangerous genetic deviance no longer held credibility among their own forces. The broader Federation leadership structure showed visible fractures. Council members argued openly about military strategy and political approach. Younger factions advocated for reform, while traditionalists demanded increased aggression. The internal conflict paralyzed decision-making processes and created confusion in command channels. This division explained why the fleet had not yet advanced despite its numerical advantage. The Federation's unity had been their greatest strength. Now it became their critical weakness. Kathmari abilities had fundamentally undermined the Federation's fear-based narrative. Their medical response to the engineered plague demonstrated their true nature as healers. The cure's rapid development and distribution saved lives across multiple species. This practical evidence outweighed all Federation propaganda about genetic danger. Their biological capabilities served preservation and advancement rather than destruction. The truth became impossible to ignore even for previously loyal Federation supporters. A new political architecture began forming during the Council's final sessions. Representatives outlined a governance model based on mutual respect and shared responsibility. It emphasized voluntary cooperation rather than forced compliance. The structure provided protections for cultural diversity and biological differences. Decision-making would involve all member species through representative councils. The framework rejected the Federation's hierarchical control in favor of collaborative leadership. This emerging system offered a viable alternative to the existing galactic order. The Galactic Alliance Council formed with representatives from 17 species. Their first meeting established a mission centered on equality, mutual aid, and inclusive governance. The charter rejected hierarchical control in favor of collaborative decision-making. Each species received equal voting weight regardless of military or economic power. The system prioritized consensus building through transparent deliberation. Dispute resolution mechanisms emphasized mediation over forced compliance. The structure represented a fundamental departure from Federation domination models. Former Federation loyalists resisted the power structure change through political maneuvering. They attempted to form opposition blocs within the new council. Their efforts focused on preserving traditional power distributions. They argued for weighted voting based on military contributions. They advocated for emergency powers that could override collective decisions. Their resistance created tension during early legislative sessions. The debates tested the Alliance's commitment to its stated principles. The conflict represented the struggle between old and new political paradigms. The alliance assigned leadership roles based on demonstrated capabilities rather than political influence. Expertise became the primary qualification for positions of authority. This approach ensured efficient governance through specialized knowledge. It prevented power concentration in the hands of traditionally dominant species. The system valued practical skills over historical prestige. Administrative structures developed around functional needs, rather than ceremonial hierarchies. The method represented a merit-based alternative to Federation favoritism. Veltar assumed the role of chief medical advisor overseeing galactic health initiatives. His office coordinated medical research across member species. He established standards for pandemic response and biological threat management. His team developed protocols for interspecies medical compatibility. The systems addressed diverse physiological needs and environmental requirements. Medical ships operated throughout Alliance space, providing care without discrimination. The approach demonstrated the Alliance's commitment to preservation and welfare. Zixna founded the Galactic Engineering Corps to advance biological technologies. Her organization integrated living systems with mechanical engineering. They developed infrastructure that could grow and repair itself. Their projects included environmental systems that adapted to changing conditions. The Corps trained engineers from multiple species in biological interface techniques. Their work revolutionized construction, transportation, and communication systems. The technology emphasized sustainability and adaptation, rather than resource consumption. Mordek took command of the peacekeeping force with emphasis on conflict prevention. His strategies focused on de-escalation and diplomatic intervention. Peacekeepers received training in cultural mediation and threat assessment. Their equipment emphasized non-lethal containment and defensive shielding. The force operated as a protective barrier rather than an invasion arm. Their presence deterred aggression through visible readiness rather than threat display. The approach reflected the Alliance's preference for resolution over domination. Captured Federation ships underwent extensive repurposing for humanitarian missions. Engineering teams removed weapon systems and installed medical facilities. The vessels became mobile hospitals and disaster response units. They delivered aid to regions affected by conflict or environmental crises. The conversion process symbolized the shift from military aggression to compassionate service. These ships now represented hope rather than fear throughout the galaxy. For a more stable and adaptive interstellar society, the Alliance established governance systems based on practical applications of shared values. Their operational frameworks prioritized measurable outcomes over ideological purity. Decision-making processes required evidence of benefit to multiple species. Administrative structures developed around functional needs rather than traditional hierarchies. The systems emphasized transparency through open data sharing and independent verification. This approach created accountability mechanisms that prevented power concentration. Healing became the central organizing principle of galactic relations. Medical knowledge sharing occurred without restrictions or proprietary claims. Research facilities operated as collaborative networks across species boundaries. Treatment protocols adapted to accommodate diverse biological requirements. Emergency response systems coordinated resources across multiple worlds. The focus shifted from disease management to health optimization. This represented a fundamental reorientation of healthcare priorities. Engineering collaboration created infrastructure that served evolving needs. Projects involved teams from multiple species with complementary expertise. Designs incorporated biological and technological elements in integrated systems. Construction methods emphasized sustainability and adaptation capacity. The resulting structures could modify their functions based on changing conditions. This approach prevented obsolescence and reduced resource consumption. The infrastructure supported growth without environmental degradation. Conflict prevention mechanisms operated through early intervention systems. Monitoring networks detected potential disputes before they escalated. Mediation teams deployed at the first signs of tension. Resolution processes focused on addressing underlying causes, rather than suppressing symptoms. The systems created pathways for peaceful change rather than enforced stability. This proactive approach reduced the need for military intervention. Some species remained skeptical of the new power distribution. Traditional power holders questioned the merit-based assignment of authority. They argued for maintaining historical influence structures. Their resistance created tension during policy implementation phases. The skepticism tested the alliance's commitment to its principles. The conflict represented the ongoing struggle between established patterns and new possibilities. Kathmari medicine transformed healthcare across multiple worlds. Their biological interface technology enabled rapid diagnosis and treatment. Cellular regeneration techniques reversed degenerative conditions. Immunological adaptations provided protection against epidemic threats. Neural repair systems addressed previously untreatable brain injuries. Medical outcomes improved dramatically across all member species. The advancements demonstrated the practical benefits of biological diversity. Their technologies offered solutions to problems that had resisted conventional approaches. Environmental restoration projects used biological systems to repair damaged ecosystems. Agricultural innovations created food security through adaptive growing methods. Energy production shifted toward sustainable biological processes. Each solution emerged from integrating Kathmari knowledge with other species' expertise. The collaborations produced results that singular approaches could not achieve. The engineering core developed infrastructure with growth and adaptation capabilities. Buildings could modify their internal layouts based on occupancy needs. Transportation networks adjusted capacity according to usage patterns. Communication systems evolved to accommodate new technologies seamlessly. This living infrastructure reduced maintenance costs and extended operational lifespans. The approach represented a shift from static construction to dynamic development. Peacekeeping forces focused on de-escalation techniques rather than military dominance. Their training emphasized conflict resolution and cultural mediation. Equipment designs prioritized defensive shielding over offensive weaponry. Deployment protocols required exhausting all diplomatic options first. The forces served as protective barriers rather than invasion arms. This approach demonstrated that security could be achieved without aggression. Economic systems prioritized mutual benefit over exploitation. Trade agreements ensured fair distribution of resources and profits. Production methods emphasized sustainability and waste reduction. Financial systems prevented speculative practices that created instability. The economic model valued long-term stability over short-term gains. This approach created prosperity without requiring exploitation of weaker parties. The galaxy shifted from fear-based politics to cooperative civilization. Decision-making processes incorporated diverse perspectives and expertise. Resource allocation served common needs rather than individual accumulation. Cultural differences became sources of strength rather than reasons for conflict. The transformation occurred through practical demonstration of better alternatives. Fear lost its power as a political tool when cooperation produced superior results. Previously marginalized identities became the backbone of interstellar society. Their unique capabilities and perspectives drove innovation and problem-solving. Leadership roles reflected the diversity of member species. Cultural expressions enriched the galactic community through variety and creativity. The inclusion of previously excluded groups strengthened the entire alliance. Their contributions demonstrated that diversity was not just ethical, but essential for advancement. 5 years after the turning point, Earth celebrated the anniversary on New Harmony. The orbital station served as neutral ground for all species. They established a memorial garden honoring those harmed by Federation oppression. The space spanned several acres under a transparent dome. It contained living monuments that represented each affected species. The designs incorporated biological elements from their homeworlds. The garden served as both remembrance and educational center. Visitors could walk through sections dedicated to different cultures and histories. The atmosphere remained solemn yet hopeful throughout the ceremony. Some observers questioned whether the piece could withstand future challenges. Political analysts noted lingering tensions in border regions. Economic disparities between species created potential friction points. Military strategists warned about residual Federation loyalists. The concerns reflected understandable caution after generations of conflict. The garden itself became a symbol of both achievement and vulnerability. Its transparent dome represented the new government's commitment to openness. This visibility also made it a potential target for those opposing change. Living monuments grew and changed alongside the children learning there. Biological structures adapted to environmental conditions and visitor interactions. A Vorax memory tree extended new branches when touched gently. Silth water sculptures shifted patterns based on sound vibrations. Gallon light formations brightened in response to peaceful thoughts. The children from multiple species played among these interactive memorials. They learned about different cultures through direct experience rather than instruction. The garden became a living classroom for interspecies understanding. Kathmari elders moved among the visitors, sharing their experiences. They taught the next generation about cooperation and compassion through simple stories. Their narratives emphasized how small acts of kindness could change history. They explained how fear had divided species for centuries. Their lessons focused on recognizing common needs rather than dwelling on differences. Children from various backgrounds listened with serious attention. The elders' presence gave tangible connection to the events being memorialized. Their calm demeanor demonstrated the peace they advocated. The garden's transparent dome symbolized the new government's operational transparency. Decision-making processes occurred in visible chambers nearby. Policy debates could be observed by any citizen through open channels. Leadership meetings included representatives from all member species. This approach contrasted sharply with Federation secrecy and control. The architectural choice reflected philosophical commitment to accountability. It created a constant reminder that power should serve openly rather than rule covertly. Dr. Brooks walked through the garden with quiet observation. She reflected on how compassion had reshaped galactic relations. Her scientific mind analyzed the social transformation as a biological process. She saw how empathy had created connections where fear had built barriers. The integrated ecosystems within the garden mirrored the political integration occurring across species. She noted how diversity strengthened the overall system rather than weakening it. Her perspective combined analytical precision with deep understanding of the changes. She acknowledged the human role in the transformation during a brief address. Humans did something the galaxy had forgotten how to do, she stated. Her words carried across the quiet space. We remembered that mercy requires courage, that protection extends to the vulnerable, that progress includes everyone. The statement summarized 5 years of diplomatic and social evolution. It recognized humanity's particular contribution without claiming superiority. The simple declaration captured the essence of their galactic impact. The galaxy became a network of interdependent species trading and healing together. Economic systems now prioritized mutual benefit over exploitation. Medical knowledge flowed freely across previous boundaries. Cultural exchanges enriched all participating societies. The connections created resilience through diversity, rather than fragility through uniformity. This interdependence made conflict less likely as interests became shared. The network operated through voluntary cooperation, rather than forced compliance. Fear-based separation gave way to shared purpose and open-hearted resilience. Species that had hidden their capabilities now shared them freely. Cultures that had protected their knowledge now taught it openly. The change occurred through demonstrated benefits rather than enforced policies. The garden stood as physical proof that cooperation produced better outcomes than domination. Its living monuments grew stronger through interaction rather than protection. The peace they represented required constant nurturing but offered greater rewards than isolation ever could. The transformation of galactic civilization hinged on a single humane decision made at the edge of known space. Captain Morrison's choice to rescue 3 genetic outcasts created a chain reaction that altered interstellar politics forever. His refusal to comply with Federation authority represented more than rebellion. It demonstrated a different way of engaging with power. That moment of courage became the foundation for a new galactic order, based on compassion rather than domination. The consequences unfolded across years of conflict and cooperation. Many had advocated for compliance with the Federation's demands. Military advisors presented tactical assessments showing overwhelming odds against human forces. Diplomats warned of potential retaliation against colonial settlements. Political analysts predicted economic isolation and technological embargoes. The arguments for surrendering the Kathmari followed logical patterns of risk assessment and strategic calculation. They represented conventional wisdom in a dangerous universe. The safer path seemed clear from a purely analytical perspective. As alliances grew across species lines, the old order crumbled under accumulated evidence. The Federation's narrative about genetic deviance collapsed when faced with practical demonstrations of healing and cooperation. Their claims of danger contradicted the Kathmari's life-saving actions during the Kepler Plague. Their warnings about biological contamination proved false when integration produced agricultural and medical breakthroughs. The evidence mounted through observable results rather than political statements. Reality undermined fear-based propaganda through consistent counterexamples. Diversity proved to be a source of strength and innovation rather than weakness. The integration of different biological capabilities created solutions that singular approaches could never achieve. Katamari healing combined with human technology produced medical miracles. Their environmental adaptations allowed settlement of previously hostile worlds. Their biological interface systems revolutionized engineering and construction. The collaboration demonstrated that varied perspectives and capabilities enhanced problem-solving capacity. Uniformity provided stability, but diversity delivered progress. The Katamari emerged as healers and innovators rather than the threats described in Federation bulletins. Their biological gifts served preservation and advancement across multiple fields. Medical systems incorporated their cellular regeneration techniques to treat degenerative diseases. Agricultural methods utilized their environmental adaptation knowledge to improve food security. Engineering projects employed their biological interface capabilities to create living infrastructure. Their contributions transformed quality of life and expanded possibilities for all species. They catalyzed social revolutions by demonstrating an alternative to fear-based politics. Their integration showed that biological differences could be strengths rather than dangers. Scientific revolutions followed their collaboration with researchers from multiple species. Political revolutions emerged from their advocacy for inclusive governance structures. The changes occurred through practical demonstration, rather than theoretical argument. Each successful application of their knowledge built confidence in their approach. Compassionate policy guided collaborations that ended conflicts and expanded cosmic understanding. The alliance's emphasis on preservation over destruction changed military engagement patterns. Their focus on mutual benefit transformed economic systems. Their commitment to knowledge sharing accelerated scientific progress. These approaches produced better outcomes than domination ever achieved. The results demonstrated that cooperation created more stability than control. The story closed on hope for spacefaring civilizations choosing compassion over domination. It showed that courage could reshape political landscapes through consistent action. The galactic transformation began with one starship captain refusing to abandon 3 beings in distress. That decision created ripples that reached across star systems and species boundaries. It proved that individual choices could alter the course of history when guided by principle rather than fear. Katamari biotechnology continued evolving human capabilities through systematic integration. Their living systems approach transformed colonial agriculture beyond recognition. Previously sterile hydroponic bays now pulsed with biological activity. Crops grew in symbiotic relationships with beneficial microorganisms. Yield increases averaged 300% across all staple foods. Nutritional content improved through biological optimization rather than genetic modification. The changes occurred through natural processes guided by Katamari knowledge. Some purists resisted the integration of biological and mechanical systems. Traditional engineers argued for maintaining separation between organic and technological components. They cited potential contamination risks and unpredictable biological behaviors. Their concerns reflected attachment to established engineering principles. The resistance created temporary obstacles during implementation phases. Technical debate slowed certain projects through excessive caution protocols. The conflict represented the natural friction between innovation and tradition. Self-repairing infrastructure reduced maintenance costs and increased reliability across human settlements. Buildings incorporated biological elements that could heal structural damage. Road networks developed self-regulating surfaces that adapted to weather conditions. Power distribution systems used living conductors that regenerated after damage. The advancements eliminated the need for constant manual repairs. System downtime decreased by 80% compared to purely mechanical infrastructure. The reliability improvements enhanced quality of life and economic productivity. Medical advances eliminated diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. Genetic disorders responded to cellular reprogramming techniques. Cancer became manageable through targeted biological interventions. Neurodegenerative conditions showed reversal through neural pathway regeneration. The healthcare system shifted from treatment to prevention and enhancement. Average human lifespan increased by 40 years within a decade. Medical expenses decreased as chronic conditions became preventable rather than treatable. Environmental adaptation technologies allowed settlement of previously hostile worlds. Planets with extreme temperatures became habitable through biological climate control. Toxic atmospheres underwent purification using Kathmari filtration systems. Radiation-heavy environments became safe through cellular protection modifications. The expansion possibilities transformed human colonization patterns. Previously inaccessible worlds now supported thriving communities. The technology reduced pressure on overpopulated core worlds. The fusion of biology and engineering created entirely new technological categories. Biomechanical interfaces allowed direct neural control of complex systems. Living computers processed information through organic circuitry. Energy production shifted to biological conversion systems that exceeded mechanical efficiency. Each innovation emerged from combining Kathmari biological knowledge with human technical expertise. The collaborations produced solutions that neither approach could achieve separately. Human scientists learned to think in terms of growth and adaptation rather than static design. Engineering education incorporated biological principles into core curricula. Research methodologies emphasized observation of natural processes. Problem-solving approaches valued flexibility over rigid solutions. The philosophical shift affected all scientific disciplines. It represented a fundamental change in how humanity approached technological development. The new perspective proved more effective in addressing complex challenges. The Kathmari legacy became the foundation of a new technological civilization. Their biological knowledge integrated with human innovation to create sustainable systems. The combination produced advancements that respected environmental balance. Technology now worked with natural processes rather than against them. This approach ensured long-term viability rather than short-term gains. The foundation supported continuous improvement through adaptation. Their gifts, once feared as dangerous deviations, became the cornerstone of galactic progress. The variabilities the Federation had condemned now drove advancement across species. Biological interface technology revolutionized medicine, engineering, and environmental science. The transformation demonstrated how fear could blind societies to potential benefits. The Kathmari example showed that difference often contained the seeds of progress. Their legacy proved that embracing diversity created stronger civilizations. The Galactic Alliance Council established governance structures that defied traditional political models. Their framework rejected military dominance as the basis for authority. Instead, representation was determined by measurable contributions to collective well-being. Medical expertise received equal consideration with engineering capabilities. Peacekeeping knowledge held the same weight as economic experience. The system valued practical skills over historical power. This approach created a council where healers sat beside strategists and scientists. Their decisions reflected diverse perspectives rather than singular interests. Traditional power brokers struggled to adapt to the new system. Military leaders accustomed to automatic deference found their influence diminished. Economic magnates could no longer leverage resources for preferential treatment. Political operatives discovered their manipulation tactics ineffective in transparent proceedings. The resistance manifested through procedural objections and delaying tactics. Some attempted to form blocs based on old alliances. Their efforts consistently failed against the merit-based evaluation process. The struggle represented the death throes of an obsolete power structure. Medical professionals brought critical insights to policy discussions. Their understanding of public health shaped colonial development plans. Engineering experts contributed practical solutions to infrastructure challenges. Peacekeeping specialists offered conflict prevention strategies that saved resources. Each discipline received equal voting rights during council sessions. Decisions required approval from multiple expertise categories. This ensured policies considered technical feasibility, health impacts, and security implications simultaneously. The comprehensive approach prevented narrow specialization from dominating governance. Consensus building replaced force projection as the decision-making method. Council sessions involved extended discussion rather than quick votes. Representatives explained their reasoning with supporting evidence. Compromise solutions emerged through patient negotiation. The process valued thorough examination over rapid resolution. This method initially slowed policy implementation, but produced more effective outcomes. The deliberate pace prevented reckless decisions that could harm multiple species. The system emphasized quality of governance over speed of action. Life preservation became the primary filter for all policy evaluations. Proposed legislation underwent rigorous impact assessments. Systems that threatened environmental stability were rejected automatically. Economic plans that exploited weaker species failed approval. Military strategies that caused unnecessary casualties were redesigned. The Council consistently prioritized sustainable existence over temporary gains. This fundamental principle guided every aspect of galactic administration. It created a stable foundation for long-term development. Previously marginalized species found their capabilities suddenly valued. The Sylth's cultural memory systems became essential for historical analysis. The Vorax's agricultural knowledge revolutionized food production. The Gellan's mathematical abilities enhanced computational models. Each species contributed unique strengths that enriched the collective. Their inclusion transformed them from subordinates to partners. The shift demonstrated how diversity strengthened governance through complementary capabilities. Economic models underwent fundamental restructuring towards sustainable development. Resource extraction shifted from exhaustive mining to careful management. Production systems emphasized recycling and renewal over consumption. Trade agreements prioritized mutual benefit rather than advantage. The changes created economic stability without requiring constant expansion. This approach prevented the boom and bust cycles that had characterized previous systems. The economy now supported life rather than consuming it. The political transformation proved that diverse governance could be more effective than centralized control. Solutions emerged from integrated perspectives rather than singular viewpoints. Problems were addressed through multiple methodologies simultaneously. The system adapted more quickly to changing circumstances. Its inherent flexibility provided resilience against unexpected challenges. The results demonstrated that inclusion produced better outcomes than exclusion. Fear-based politics was replaced by evidence-based cooperation. Decisions were made on measurable data rather than perceived threats. Policies were evaluated by actual results rather than theoretical benefits. The change created a political environment where rational discussion replaced emotional manipulation. This approach reduced conflict and increased productivity. The galactic community became more stable and prosperous through practical collaboration. Dr. Brooks walked through the memorial garden on the 5th anniversary of the crisis. The air carried the scent of alien blossoms and cultivated earth. She observed the children playing beneath the transparent dome. Their small forms represented multiple species interacting without hesitation. A human child offered a Vorax youngster a strange fruit from the garden's trees. The scene appeared peaceful, almost idealized in its harmony. But Brooks understood the delicate balance maintaining this tranquility. The peace remained fragile despite surface appearances. Federation loyalists still operated in border regions. Economic disparities between systems created underlying tensions. Security reports noted occasional attempts to disrupt alliance operations. The stability required constant maintenance through diplomatic effort and military readiness. Every species representative worked daily to strengthen the collaborative framework. Their commitment determined whether the garden represented temporary calm or permanent change. Katmari elders moved among the playing children with deliberate slowness. Their shifting skin patterns reflected the garden's changing light. They shared stories of their people's persecution under Federation rule. The children listened with serious expressions beneath the alien foliage. The elders described their exile from Galactic Federation space. They explained how fear had nearly destroyed their species. Their redemption came through human compassion and subsequent alliance formation. The lessons were not about victory but understanding. The living monuments throughout the garden grew and changed alongside the children. A Sylth water sculpture altered its flow pattern as young ones approached. Gellan light formations brightened when children laughed nearby. The biological structures responded to the life around them. Their evolution mirrored the galactic society they represented. The garden itself became a record of progress through adaptation. Its continuous change demonstrated that stability came from flexibility, not rigidity. Brooks watched a Kathmari elder place a comforting hand on a crying child's shoulder. The simple gesture carried generations of meaning. She reflected on the choice that had brought them here. "You chose compassion over fear," she murmured to herself. "You judged us by our actions, not our biology." The words summarized the fundamental shift in galactic relations. Humanity had looked beyond surface differences to see shared needs. That decision had created possibilities where none existed before. That initial kindness had altered countless lives across multiple species. The 3 rescued Kathmari had become symbols of redemption. Their healing abilities had saved populations from engineered plagues. Their knowledge had advanced medical science beyond previous limits. Their integration had inspired other species to reject Federation dominance. The chain of events began with one starship captain refusing to abandon beings in distress. The consequences expanded further than anyone could have predicted. The galaxy had transformed into a network of interdependence. Trade routes connected previously isolated systems. Medical knowledge flowed freely across species boundaries. Cultural exchanges enriched all participating societies. The connections created resilience through diversity, rather than fragility through uniformity. This web of relationships made conflict less likely as interests became shared. The network operated through voluntary cooperation rather than forced compliance. The story served as an enduring lesson about courage over conformity. It demonstrated that principle could overcome practical considerations. The safe choice would have been surrendering to Federation demands. The courageous choice risked everything for 3 unknown beings. That decision had reshaped galactic politics through demonstrated compassion. It proved that individual actions could alter historical trajectories when guided by ethics rather than fear. Humanity's place among the stars was now defined by compassion rather than conquest. Their reputation centered on healing and protection rather than domination. Other species sought alliance based on shared values rather than military strength. The change represented a fundamental reorientation of interstellar relations. Human colonies became known as places of refuge and innovation. This identity emerged from consistently choosing preservation over power. The legacy would guide future generations in their cosmic journey. The galaxy's future was reshaped by one act of human compassion. A single starship captain's decision to rescue 3 outcasts changed interstellar politics forever. When courage guides policy instead of fear, collaborations flourish and wars end. Shared purpose expands the cosmos more effectively than domination ever could. The network of cooperating species now thrives through mutual aid and respect. Their unity demonstrates that diversity becomes strength through inclusion. This outcome began with choosing principle over practicality. That choice created a legacy that will endure for generations. The stars now shine on a more compassionate civilization.